So today we're going to piece together a really fascinating puzzle. What's going on with India in 2026? We're going to look past the usual headlines and really connect the dots, between these massive infrastructure projects, this huge tech revolution, and this new global identity that's taking shape. This is the story of a nation just hitting warp speed.
Here's how we're going to tackle it. First, we'll look at the literal and social foundations being laid down. Then we'll jump into the push for technological self-reliance. After that, we'll see how all that is juicing the economic engine. And finally, we'll explore how this forges a whole new national identity.
It's a huge question, right? But the answer, as we're about to see, isn't just one thing. It's a whole mix of strategic moves in infrastructure, tech, the economy, and culture, all happening at the same time. Let's just start with a few numbers to give you a sense of the sheer scale we're talking about here.
Okay, look at that. That's nearly 19,000 crore rupees. We're talking about 2.2 billion US dollars. And that's the price tag for just one infrastructure project. We'll get back to what it is in just a minute.
$42.1 billion. Now, that's the value of exports from a single sector in India. It's a number that shows just explosive growth over the last decade.
And 94, the number of medals from just one big sporting championship. It's a number that just screams ambition and excellence on the world stage. So you put these three numbers together, and you start to see a picture of a country making some seriously big moves on every single front.
All right, let's start with the bedrock. This isn't just about pouring concrete and laying down steel. It's about creating the physical and, just as importantly, the social infrastructure that's going to support everything else. Remember that 18,662 crore rupee figure from a second ago? Well, this is it. India's very first underwater twin-tube tunnel, and it's got both a road and a railway running under the mighty Brahmaputra River. I mean, it's a massive engineering feat for sure, but its real importance is strategic. This is an absolute game changer for connecting the Northeast, for boosting logistics, and for strengthening national security. Now, building a foundation is also about creating a real safety net for your citizens. And this PM Rahat scheme is designed to do just that, to save lives in that critical golden hour right after a road accident. It gives people cashless treatment up to 150,000 rupees. This just breaks it down so clearly, turning a complicated process into a simple, actionable lifeline when it matters most. And that foundation, it digs even deeper into economic empowerment. The government is basically doubling down on some key initiatives here. The target for the Lakhpati Didi scheme, which helps create female entrepreneurs in villages, has been doubled to 60 million women. And at the same time, the fund to modernize agriculture has also been doubled. It just shows a laser focus on strengthening the very core of the economy. Okay, so let's move on to our next section and see how all of this builds into the world of tech. India is making this massive push on two fronts. First, securing its borders with homegrown technology, and second, getting its future generations ready for a world that's going to be dominated by AI. And this slide just illustrates the national AI strategy perfectly. On one hand, you've got the defense minister launching AI centers for high-altitude warfare. And on the other, you have the education minister kicking off the Bharat Bodhan AI conclave to get artificial intelligence into the national education system. It's like a pincer movement, right? Using AI to protect the nation today, while also using it to build the minds that are going to lead the nation tomorrow.
And this drive for self-reliance isn't just talk. India recently opened its very first water jet production facility. Now, this is a super critical component for high-speed naval ships. And get this, it makes India only the third country in the world with this capability, right after the US and South Korea. It's a huge step in cutting down dependence on foreign military hardware.
And you can see this national ambition playing out at the state level. Take Tamil Nadu, for example. They just signed deals worth almost 6,000 crore rupees. That's around $720 million for a new semiconductor facility and a big aerospace cluster. This is where that national strategy of self-reliance really hits the ground and becomes reality.
So you've got new infrastructure, you've got a major tech push. How does that all translate into economic power? Well, this next section is all about the numbers that show an economy that's really firing on all cylinders.
Just look at this chart. It visualizes this five-fold explosion in electronics exports since 2016, hitting that $42.1 billion mark we talked about earlier. This isn't just steady growth, you guys. It's a meteoric rise. It positions India as a major player in the global electronics supply chain, and it's partly driven by this global push to diversify manufacturing hubs away from, well, you know where.
And the future? It looks even more digital. A report from Niti Aayog, which is the government's own policy think tank, is predicting that e-commerce could make up nearly a third of all merchandise exports by 2030. That's a huge, fundamental shift in how India trades with the rest of the world.
So here's the crucial point. This isn't just about things being made in India and sold abroad. It's also about global confidence in the Indian market itself. When you see a massive investment of over 4,000 crore rupees by a global giant like Bain Capital, it's a huge signal that international investors see long-term stability and really high growth potential in India's financial sector.
All right, for a final section, let's see how all this economic and tech momentum comes together to actually shape India's identity on the world stage. Because it's about so much more than just numbers. It's about achievement, it's about heritage, and it's about values.
Excellence in sports is such a huge part of any nation's identity, and this celebration of India's best athletes, it really tells a story. You've got a star cricketer, a rising chess prodigy, a decorated para-sportswoman, and a legendary shooter. It just showcases the country's incredible depth, diversity, and that winning spirit.
At the same time, building a modern identity is also about celebrating and preserving your past. The release of these beautiful commemorative stamps featuring 8 different traditional forms of Indian puppetry is just a small but wonderful example of sharing a really rich, diverse cultural heritage with the entire world. And kind of holding all this together is an effort to define the core values of this transformation. The president launched the Karma Yoga for Empowered Bharat initiative, and it's described as a value-based national movement. It's rooted in this ancient philosophy, but it's being applied to the modern day, really promoting a sense of duty, integrity, and service to the nation.
So, when we connect all these dots, from that underwater tunnel in the east to a new semiconductor plant in the south to an AI strategy for the whole country, a really clear picture emerges. This is a nation that is meticulously and very intentionally building its future. The transformation is well underway. The only question left is, with all this momentum, what will India choose to become next?